Okay, so this is where the fun actually starts. So let's read this together. Suppose that for compliance reasons, your company cannot deploy an EC2 instance in a VPC where the tenancy is set to default. That is, you can only deploy instances on dedicated hardware. To mitigate that, you will write a CFN-Nag rule that will check templates for VPCs that has instance tenancy property set to default. So remember when I mentioned that we can write our own rules for CFN-Nag? So that's what we're going to be doing now. If that's the case, then the template should not pass CFN-Nag build stage in the pipeline. Now, to write a CFN-Nag rule, you'll have to use Ruby. But don't worry, you do not need to be a Ruby expert, because this guy here, I barely know anything about Ruby, so you'll be just fine if you don't know Ruby as well. This is actually very simple to follow, and if you know any other programming language, you'll be fine. And of course, a little disclaimer here for the Ruby experts out there. I'm sorry if something here doesn't make any sense. Like I said, I'm not a Ruby developer. I just basically went to the documentation of CFN-Nag and took a look how they build rules. So my goal here is to give you the framework, and then you can just do amazing things with it. Okay, so let's start with the folder structure. So folder structure, we need to have a folder called custom roles. So in the pipeline repo root folder, create custom roles and then bin and lib. So let's go back there. This is pipeline templates. So that's, yeah, exactly here. Let's create custom roles. Inside custom roles, we need to have a folder called lib and a folder called bin. Double check bin and lib. Yeah. And I don't know if there's a tree here. No, there's no tree command. Anyway, so custom roles has bin and lib. All right. Now the next one is a gem file. So at the root, at the custom roles folder, create a gem file or create a file called gem file. And this should be the content of the gem file. So let's do that. Let's find custom rules and then let's create new file. Let's call it gem file and paste this. Okay. Next up is a Gemspec. So let's create a file called this. And I believe that's going to be at the root level. Yep, also the root level. So new file called this. And this should be the content. And you see here that we need to replace version and your name. Okay. So let's open this. Version, you can just call 1.0 because we know there's no errors and this is completely stable. Our authors, let's call it Renan. Okay, what else? I think that's it. Now a little script which should be inside the bin folder. So it should be called CFN-Nag custom. And so inside bin, let's create a new file called custom. And this should be the content of the file. I think I didn't save this. Okay. Next. So this is actually the rule that is going to be used by CFN-Nag. Create a file called tenancycheckerrule.rb, and that needs to be where? Under lib rules. Okay, so we need under lib, there needs to be a folder called rules, and then here a file called that. Yeah, and this is not going to be the final code, but let's just copy and then we're gonna change it. Open this file, paste it here. Let's see what we need to change. So yeah, so this code it only checks whether S3 buckets have been named foo or not. So of course this is just an example that I got from from their GitHub repo, and authorized rejects the rule, etc. Okay, so the rule should result in a failing violation, which is this violation, failing violation, so that's good. That's already in place. If any VPC in a CloudFormation template hasn't got instance tenancy set to dedicated. All right. And what else? The name of the class must be tenancy checker rule. Let me take care of that first, because here is called example custom rule. So let's change that. And yeah, this is something I found when I was playing around with this. I've only played around with this tool for a couple of weeks, so there might be something here that I'm missing. But it seems that the name of the class, if the name of the class is not as the name of the file, things get messy for some reason, at least with this version. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments if you had a different experience with CFN-Nag. I might be missing something here. But anyway, okay, so tenancy checker rule, it's already in place. Now we need to work on the logic in this function here. And the rule ID, I'm gonna just leave it C1. Doesn't matter, it can be anything. Now you see that here you don't really need to understand much about Ruby, at least to create this for the challenge. If you wanted something a little bit more complex, then you might need some Ruby knowledge there. Okay, so here it's checking for an S3 bucket, so I need to check for VPC. So EC2 VPC, and then violating buckets, I'm gonna call violating VPCs. So let me copy this here. Resources select, then apparently there's gonna be a variable. Instead of bucket, I'm gonna call VPC here as well. And this is the property of the resource in the CloudFormation template. And notice that in the CloudFormation template, it's going to be bucket name with uppercase B, but here is lowercase b. So in our case, since we're looking for the instance tenancy property, we're just going to paste here by use lowercase I. Our rule is gonna but it's gonna say that it's a failing violation when it's different than dedicated. If it is dedicated, then nothing's gonna happen. If it's something else like default, then this is gonna fail. The rest, I believe, is the same. Nothing's gonna change. So as you see, pretty simple, at least for this use case. Let's save this. And I think that's it for this step. I mean, in this step, we're not gonna actually execute anything. This step is just to create all of these files, and I just wanna make sure that this is the final folder structure. So let me bring this a little bit closer so we can compare easily. So custom rules, we have custom rules. Bring this here. Bin. Okay. So custom rules, and then we have bin and lib. Bin and lib, gem file, CFN-Nag tenancy checker, and gem file and Gemspec here. Under bin, we have the custom script, which is this. And then under lib, we have rules, and then tenancy checker.rb. And under lib, rules, tenancy checker.rb. Cool, so I think we're good with step 9. Step 10 is when we're gonna add this rule to our pipeline and run it. Okay, so I'll see you there.